so many of you who have come here today to learn more about an inclusive workforce. Today we have representatives from all types of industry, including human services, workforce and economic development, hospitality, food service, childcare, retail, manufacturing, medical, trucking, banking, landscaping, education, commercial construction, and insurance. Our community services team is designed to help you find motivated, qualified individuals with which to grow your workforce. The purpose of our event today is to provide hiring professionals with ideas that are going to help achieve both business success and diversity inclusion. We're also looking for your input as we kick off our community services program. Each one of you has a very unique perspective that you'll be able to share with us during our focus group. And I can't overstate how important your perspective is. And I know you're all coming from very different directions. But with that information, our community services team will be able to study it and then apply it out as they begin their work working with employers. Our event theme today, Partnerships in Action, Grow Your Workforce with Us, reflects our belief that this program is really a bridge to building strong communities. As the Chief Executive Officer of Lakeside Packaging Plus, my job is to lead the organization forward. And I do this by finding the right people for the right positions to help us move ahead. And I'm very proud today to introduce the people who have been selected to make up our community services team at this time. And I would like Gary Ormsby, Jenny Roth, and Kira Churchill to please stand up. I'm very excited at the blend of the experience these people bring and also some very new and fresh eyes. And I'm excited as to where that's going to take us. And I do know that these three people are making lasting differences in people's lives. At this time, I'd also like to introduce River's Edge Marketing, who's been our partner in creating marketing strategies, business development, branding, and so much more. And if Janice Stark and Kathy Fredrickson would stand. And these two ladies will also be involved then in our focus group following Tracy's presentation. And there's also a few other people I would like to introduce today. We have Camille Solberg from Senator Johnson's office. Thank you, Camille. We have Sadie from Representative Glenn Grothman's office. Thank you, Sadie.
Thank you.
And we had a number of assemblymen send their regrets. There's apparently a session going on in Madison this morning, and needless to say, some of those folks weren't able to attend. And we also have a number of community leaders that have joined us today too. And now I have the honor of introducing our featured speaker, Tracy Jones. With over 2 decades of human resources experience and employment of people with all abilities, her experience and ideas will help you decide that you can employ and have successes that will enhance your company culture. Tracy is a corporate director of human resources for Kalahari Resorts and Conventions, where she oversees all Kalahari Resort properties. She successfully campaigned and won a state grant for Make Kalahari Resorts Wisconsin Dells a project search site. She's currently working on Kalahari's second project search site in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, which will begin in the fall. She's the chairperson of the Kalahari Resorts Project Search Steering Committee, and she serves on the board of directors for the Wisconsin chapter of APSE. She consults with employers across the state to create integrated employment opportunities. Please join me in welcoming Tracy Jones.
Sorry, I tend to be a pacer, so I can't stand still. So thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for coming to hear more about how dynamic you can, what a dynamic way you can grow your workforce, because this is really something special, and I've done it pretty much my whole career, and my family was a part of working and supporting some people with disabilities prior to that, so it's kind of always been a part of my world. But I'd like to start, I have a couple questions before we get started. How many people currently have people in an integrative employment scenario, or someone with a couple people? What? Oh, this is cool. And how many people have had it in the past but don't currently have it now, have a program going? For someone with a disability, a couple of people, and so the rest of the group has not had anyone with a disability, correct? Okay, cool. So the first slide I'd like to talk about is just a quick introduction, and we'll talk about it a little bit deeper in just a second. But this is our inaugural Project Search intern class. They are a group of individuals with wide-ranging abilities, wide-ranging interests, and really dynamic personalities. They're a really fun group. So, Margaret said, I'm Tracy Jones. I'm just an HR person. I'm just an HR person who actually has found a way to work with different department managers in creating these integrated employment scenarios. So some of the comments that I hear quite often, I have them on the screen. It won't work here. They don't understand what sort of work we do. I don't think they can do the work. All of those different things. And my response to that is, seriously? You've got to be kidding me. Nate is making pastries and really delicate decorated cakes, and he started last fall. In September, he's one of our Project Search interns and just changed the scope of our bake shop. Drew is our executive pastry chef. He's pictured there with him and just cannot speak enough about how he's changed the team. He's really brought a lot of energy and talent. And so Project Search, we talk about it in a minute, is a series of 3 internships. So when we asked Nate what he was interested in next, he said, well, I want to work at the front desk. And I went, any of you have been to the Kalahari, the front desk can be a pretty intimidating place. For me, I get like, oh. And so I didn't say anything, and we talked with the room's division leadership, and they're like, oh yeah, we can, start him in some smaller steps and just have him hang out there at the desk and get used to that chaotic atmosphere. And Nate didn't want to just hang out there at the front desk. Nate's like, I can do this, and he has done it, and now he's working at the front desk as a front desk agent. It's pretty amazing. So when we talk about Kalahari Resorts, we have a pretty deep culture that we immerse all of our associates into, and hopefully our guests feel that too. It's an authentic African cultured resort. Authentic, all of the artwork comes from Africa, or it's designed by artists to, but their inspiration has come from visiting Africa. So Ubuntu is that's our word, that's our slogan. And it's interesting because in South Africa, Ubuntu means I am because we are. And I think that's really dynamic with what we're talking about today. And it's really dynamic how it describes our culture, because that's exactly who we are and what we are. So Kalahari style. When I started it will be 8 years ago in August, and I went to who was then the director of rooms, and I said, Greg, we need some immersion with people with disabilities. And he said, okay, but how are we going to do that? And all of those things we heard in that slide earlier. I worry about them. Can they do the work? Can they, all of those things. And so what Greg and I decided to do was create an education system for our departments. And we started addressing full speed ahead, direct impact, here's why it'll work, and here's how easy it is. We did that education piece with some of the community partners in our area. Lakeside would be somebody who could come in and work with your managers, work with your departments, work with you in a really open and honest way that creates a supportive environment. And when you actually start to have those conversations, it's really easy. The other thing we did is we have all these job titles, we have all these job descriptions that match them, but who says we have to have that job description match that job title? So we've got job titles that actually have the job description broke down. For example, a houseman at the Kalahari is somebody who does a lot of things to support the housekeeping department. They run linen up and down the floors, trash up and down the floors, they stock carts, they stock linen closets, they strip all of the linen out of their room after a guest is checked out, they put supplies into a room to get the room ready for the next guest. All sorts of different things in a really fast-paced way. But what we said is, okay, they don't have to do all of those things. A houseman can start off just doing one of those things. It might be just stocking carts. It might be just stocking the closets. It might be just running the linen. And that's really the core of the success that has happened and where we grew everyone through. And now we do it all over the resort. And then, like I was mentioning, the supportive job coaches, that's key. If you haven't had a partnership with a job coach, now's the time to really reach out and have a communication with them. They can help you develop a breakdown of that job description. They can help educate your team. They can help prepare that individual for the environment they're coming into. And they just create a really solid communication stream. So over the last 7 years, I created this slide a little bit ago. The numbers probably increased from that. In fact, I know it has. We've had a couple people start in the last 10 days in our IT department and our finance department. But we've employed over 100 people with disabilities. And that's in all types of departments. It is housekeeping, water park, banquets, front desk, call center, HR, everywhere. And we want to continue to grow that number, and we want to continue to have that inclusion in our departments. What's amazing to me is, I'm amazed every time I see this happen, but it's how it changes the culture. Having people with disabilities in your different departments is an amazing, magical time. The associates who don't want to go to work, and quite frankly, anyone who's in hospitality, people don't want to go to work sometimes, and they come in and they're all grumpy, and you're like, oh, you smile, we're in hospitality. Working side by side with someone with a disability instantly changes them. Instantly changes them. They're happy. They love working there. They love supporting the person with a disability. In fact, I've got a housekeeping supervisor, and he was working with one of the individuals, and they were doing their thing. And this particular individual didn't openly communicate very effectively. really had trouble with directions. Didn't necessarily know left from right. Certainly didn't know how to get from the housekeeping office on the main floor, or actually the basement level of the resort, up to the 4th floor. That just was going to be beyond his skill set in the beginning. In the beginning. It was only a few weeks, and this individual was moving about on his own, being his own leader. And this housekeeping supervisor came up to Pam, our teacher, and said, "Hey, do you think we could figure out a way for my son to come in and watch this gentleman work? Because my son really needs to learn some work ethic." Wow, really neat stuff. And it's total immersion. Someone with a disability is somebody with an ability. All of us have the reason why we do what we do is because we have an ability. The reason why we're not good at something else is because we're not good at something else. And really, when you're talking about someone with a disability, that's what we're talking about. Break it down, that's what it is. It's really simple. When we talk about providing accommodations, sometimes that word is really scary. Oh my gosh, that's going to cost a ton of money. We're going to have to rebuild the building. We're going to have to tear out walls. That's not the case. I don't know how many people I interacted with first thing this morning, but I said, I'll need coffee first and I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Can't start my day without the coffee. That's an accommodation for me. The people that I directly work with in my office are like, has she had a coffee? Because I got to tell her something. It's an accommodation. That's an accommodation, and it's that simple. It's really that simple. It might be, there might be stairs that just need to have some paint on the edge of them. Super cheap, easy, because somebody doesn't have the depth perception in their vision. Really, breaking down a job description costs nothing, but that's what that person needs to start learning. And when you break down a job description, it doesn't mean they're always going to be that. Do just that small portion of it. That's how they learn. So they're going to master that, and in some cases, they can master the next piece of that, and so on. And pretty soon, they're doing the entire job description. Oh, I'm sorry. The training process. Again, the job coaches, the job developers are key. Along with, we're lucky enough at the Kalahari, we're a large employer, so we do have people that train. That's what they do. So they partnered with the job coaches. The job coaches actually came in, and as they were developing the program, they actually learned what needed to be done. So they learned all of the elements of what that job is, so that they could be a support to the person. That's key. And that's what's made our environment such a success. The evaluation process, again, just like our associates, they might have a different style. You might sit down to give an evaluation to anyone on the team. You know what way you need to communicate that information, because you know how they need to hear, whether it's a critique of what they've been doing, or whether it's praise. You know that this individual sitting across the table, no matter who they are or what their ability is, there's a way to communicate with them. And that's the same thing with somebody with a disability. So let's talk project search. Absolutely my favorite topic to talk about. How much fun this has been. It wasn't easy to roll it out. It was new to our area. It was new to the people who were helping us, the community support people. All of the things that everyone said, this is going to be your biggest obstacle, we worked through, transportation being one of them. Not everybody lives in the Dells, as you can imagine. It's a very small populated area, even though hundreds of thousands of people come there every year. So we actually draw associates in general from a minimum of a 45-minute circle. So when we were looking at the schools to partner with, it's a 45-minute circle. So when you think about getting somebody from wherever they live to here and they don't have a driver's license, we had to get pretty unique. but there's ways to make it all happen. So for those of you that don't know what Project Search is, it is a partnership with the school districts to create education for people with disabilities to prepare them to work in a work setting and to live a more independent life. The education piece of it actually is they start out in a classroom setting. So at Kalahari we have a classroom, which actually is our training lab. So we, again, a luxury of being a large employer, but we actually have a training room where all of our associates attend orientation and their cultural classes, and there's some internal meetings and things like that there. But it's our Project Search home base. And so all of the interns that start their day, they come. Transportation comes in a variety of ways. It might be family supported, it might be school supported, it might be community supported, or they might be on their own. But they come and they go to the classroom setting and they spend a minimum of an hour every day, excuse me, in a classroom setting where the teacher educates them on what it's like to be an employee, what skills you need, life pieces of what it's like to live on your own, how to manage a checking account, how to, make doctor's appointments, health, safety, how to eat a nutritious meal, and what is a nutritious meal, and all sorts of things like that. Then they go off into their different departments, and they work. They work in a real life job. They do the work, they learn, and then at the end of the day, they come back to the classroom setting and they recap what they learned. And they talk about what they might have had issues with. I got a little ahead of myself because I get really excited talking about Project Search. But one more piece of this is it's an unpaid internship. They are working in an integrated setting. As far as Kalahari is concerned, or any other employer that is a site for Project Search, they are an associate. And they're treated like an associate. They get to partake in all of the events and all of the awards and rewards, and they just really have a good time. In fact, we've started to have a couple of open houses to prepare for next year. And kids that we interviewed and assessed last summer, or a year ago, in spring probably is when it started, and they didn't know how to make eye contact, and they were really nervous, and they didn't know what they should do or how they should act. We had an open house in November, and each one of them got up in front of a group of strangers and started to talk about what they like about Kalahari, what they like about what they're doing, and why they like Project Search. They were doing it like this. I like it, it's really fun, and I'm learning a lot. We had our second open house about a month ago. What I like about the Kalahari is, and it's really fun, I get to do this and that, and they're talking and making eye contact, they're puffing their chests out, and I'm crying. I can't believe that what we're doing is impacting their lives and their families' lives the way it is. It is amazing. So now you've heard a little bit about the Kalahari. How are we going to make it in your world? What's it mean for you, coming from all of the industries that you are? How do we do this? Let's talk about the changing workforce for just a second. We're aging. I'm not. Some people say I am, but I'm not. So between 1 and 3 workers will be age 50 or older. We were just talking about this as we were having breakfast this morning. Baby boomers, who make up more than 40% of the U.S. labor force, will be exiting the workforce in large numbers. What does that mean for us? How do we fill those positions? We're struggling now. I think I could probably speak for almost everybody in the room, but it's difficult whether you're making one hire a quarter or whether you're hiring people every single week. It's tough to find good people. So what sort of needs do we have as employers? And if you really think about it, there are a lot of them. Whether it's filing, data entry, shipping and receiving, sorting mail, invoices, managing waste recycling, production, maintenance, phones. Just think about your areas for just a second. Think about, if I had somebody that could work 20 hours a week, this would just make it change the scope of what we do on a daily basis. These people are out there. There's such a large population of people out there that I call it the untapped labor market. It truly is the untapped labor market. People with disabilities experience the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment of any single group in the country. Just a tragic thing to say. It is shocking. More than 75% of people with disabilities report being underemployed or unemployed. Again, shocking. The latest statistic is from 2012 here, but approximately 31% of people with disabilities aged 21 to 64 had some college or associate's degree, compared to 33% of the population with an unidentified disability. We have a gentleman, he's starting, I mentioned earlier, he's starting in our IT department, or just started, and he has a college degree, and he's a high-functioning individual with a disability. He got his college degree 2 years ago, and he's been looking for a job for 2 years in IT. This makes no sense at all. He's brilliant, he's fun, he likes the team likes him, it's a perfect match. He loves cameras, so our natural fit for him is he's going to be in charge of the maintenance on all of the surveillance cameras and the communication of those cameras with the software that they communicate with. It was something that our IT team was stressing about. We never can get to that. And we know it's an emergency, we know those cameras need to be working efficiently, but we're too busy answering the calls, my computer won't turn on, or the computer totally, you get the blue screen of death, and then it's an emergency for the IT team, and they're rebuilding computers, and they're programming them to be ready for us, and these cameras are like, help. And so that's been a natural fit, and again, it's amazing that this young man could not get hired before this. 87% of consumers say they prefer doing business with companies that employ people with disabilities. 87% of our population agrees on this. 87% of our population doesn't agree on anything that they do on this topic. And I can stand here today and honestly say we get comments every single day that say, thank you. Thank you. We're so glad to interact with that individual. Aaron had such a big smile. He made my whole family smile. I have a child with a disability, and to see the immersion in your company warms our heart. We hear those comments every day. They take the time to send emails, to make phone calls, to pull someone aside. Amazing. Consumers with disabilities and their families, friends, and associates represent a $3 trillion market segment. It's a lot of cash out there waiting to be spent to do business with all of you. We mentioned this a little bit earlier, but more than half of the accommodations that you provide to somebody don't cost anything at all. It's being creative. For instance, associates who are on the floor in front of a guest at the Kalahari cannot have a cell phone on them because it just cannot go 2 seconds without finding out what's new on Facebook, or whatever it is. I say Facebook, that probably ages me. But someone with a disability, that might be their way to communicate. So absolutely, we just keep your phone with you, and we document that you can have your phone with you. It's that easy. It's so easy. It expands your diversity, so we're all wanting to have, again, inclusion, a diverse work environment. This absolutely fits that definition. Recruitment. The other amazing thing is people want to work for a company that's making a global difference, or an organization that's making a global difference. It's not just about us and our little worlds. Young adults coming out of college, some of the first questions that get asked to our recruiters, or I get this too. So, what are you doing? Well, we're a resort and we operate water parks and we have this great convention center. No, what are you doing? And what they want to hear is, we recycle soap and it goes through this whole process and then it's shipped to third world countries. And we have green initiatives and, oh yeah, we employ people with disabilities and we do philanthropy work in South Africa. Oh, whoa, tell me about one of those things, and they really want to hear that. That's what's going to help them make those decisions. There's tax benefits. Again, Lakeside can help connect you with some of those. But to get those benefits, it's as simple as filling out a form and it gets submitted. Really easy stuff. So I want to show a video. It's a video that Jason on our HR team, he does a lot of marketing for HR, and he used to be a trainer and now he's doing recruiting full time. He helped me create this video, and he'll give an introduction about our culture, and then we're going to actually see people in action. We're going to actually hear from managers, we're going to hear from a parent, and it's just a really fabulous description of what this means to us and our culture.
Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. Every morning a lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or gazelle, when the sun comes up, you best be running. That's a classic tale that has been retold numerous times inside the Kalahari Resort. It's tied to Africa and it's tied to a work ethic aren't easily understood. It's also a story about opportunity. It's about real life. Real life. What is that? For many, real life comes without promises or opportunity, chances that seem to come more naturally in our society from hard work and dedication. Opportunity somehow shows its head when extended from a helping hand, someone clearing a path, extended from a kind and servant-like heart. As an employer, real life is taking chances that involve risk. It involves the responsibility to evoke emotion and in turn leading to lend that needed hand. I believe in our story. I believe in our culture, our mission, and I believe in the lion of the gazelle. I believe in a way that ties together all people, not just those that wake up in the morning ready to run, because all people deserve opportunities that we, you and me, take for granted. We're all on our own personal journey, and we all have so much to learn. But I know that with skill and with will, we can scratch the surface. We continue our mission. You'll continue your personal journey, and we'll share and display our passion. When you wake up tomorrow, ready to run, pause one moment and consider all the opportunities you've been given. And think about all the opportunities you could create. Thank you.
My name is Nick Heaney. I've been with the company for 15 years. I'm the water park director. We have many different positions to fill, many different personalities needed to fill those positions. Aaron started with us last year, started in a program. Once that program ended, we hired him on essentially full-time. He works every weekend for us. Aaron's the first person you see when you come to the water park. He's set in the backdrop of America's largest and best water park. First thing you see, besides the smiling face, is the top coming at you. James started with us, I believe he's been working with us for 6 years. James has a work ethic of about 2 people. If I'm down staff, he can cover the amount of work that it would take 2 people to do. He's always on the go, he's fast, he's always quick with a joke, and we love having him there. Chris has been with us for 2 years. He started as a deep lifeguard, he's moved on in the position from deep lifeguard to full certified, which is one of our harder to work attractions. He also is certified on our drop power attractions, which is one of our extreme rides. And lastly, he went through our lead lifeguard class, so he's able to help newer lifeguards lifeguards coming into their position. Chris is very talented and we love having him here.
Hi, my name is Kim Sorcy, and I'm a special education teacher here at the Kalahari. I'm part of the Project Search program, and I'm happy to say that we are working together in hospitality. We're very excited to be placing our students here for employment. Our students are really happy to be here. They're excited every day to come in and experience new job opportunities. Our student Hannah today is working in mini golf, which is her favorite place to be in the theme park. She likes interacting with the guests and enjoys that responsibility of taking care of her own area, keeping things clean, and she likes things in order.
We're gonna do that crab, sit up there. 6, 5, 5, 2, 2. I says yeah.
Our student Nate's really enjoying his assignment in the bakery, and we all get a kick out of what he gets to do every day.
And learn how to make tiramisu. Let's see what else. Oh, learn how to measure out ingredients. Learn how to tray up cookies and cheesecake. Fun to work. It's fun to work with this group. We'll have fun baking and stuff.
Student Ala is especially excited to be here. He's in the concierge position. His energy and exuberance every day is just impressive, and he really enjoys interacting with all of our guests.
As a parent with a child with special needs, what I like most about Project Search is that while the Kalahari has a culture, the Kalahari is also helping to improve, to change our entire culture by demonstrating that these young men and women with special needs have something extraordinary to give back to the community. So when a customer comes to the Kalahari Resorts and sees my son, they don't see a young man in a wheelchair. They see a young man with great spirit, with great energy, with great communication abilities, who's an awesome representative of the Kalahari culture. Todd Nelson has a motto that growing our people is imperative and success creates everywhere. And when I talk with my son a lot, and I see that motto in action. When Aladdin comes home at the end of the day, he talks about the Kalahari. He talks about what the Kalahari is doing for its customers. He really has taken, if you will, ownership in his role serving as a member of the concierge team. And I was excited for the opportunity that he had to get the training, to get the experience, to hopefully obtain employment in the future. But I was pretty taken aback by how much he invested himself into the Kalahari mission. And that really is a result of the team effort that the Kalahari employees put together for all of the kids in Project Search. I just want to give, on behalf of all the parents of the young men and women in Project Search, a heartfelt thanks to each and every one of the staff members of the Kalahari Resorts for all that they are giving to this program. From what I have seen from my son and the other kids in the program, they are giving their heart to succeed in the program. And at the same time, I see the staff at the Kalahari Resorts giving their hearts and time and energy into making the program succeed. I'm very hopeful that the program will continue not only at the resort here in Wisconsin Dells, but at other resorts that the Kalahari has around the country, because I think it is really a way to change the hearts and minds of all of the customers who come to visit the resorts to see that kids with special needs truly are special. For that, thank you.
changing hearts and minds changes the world. I love what he says, changing hearts and minds. I never really thought about it like that, to be quite honest, until I heard Scott say it. It's truly amazing. It's truly what happens. So with that, I'd like to open it up to the room, to anyone who might have questions or comments. More coffee?
I'll bring the microphone over so you can hear it. Tracy, I'm interested, you started right away by talking about sort of that initial reluctance to even talk about bringing in individuals with different abilities. So my question is, how did you start to build that buy-in or support from your executive team to even start down this path?
So, speaking with the executive team and the people who actually interviewed me, so Todd Nelson and at the time Joseph Haas was the COO of the company, and they were the two main interviews. And I interviewed them because I'm not going to go to work for a company who wouldn't be open to this type of diversity. So I interviewed them on that process. So that was the start of it, and that's the start of, not that I've had a lot of jobs in my career, but that's been the start of one of the reasons why I would go to work for somebody. We knew that we were all on the same page at that level, but getting to somebody who's actually boots on the ground is a whole other thing, and that's where the education process started. So I started small. I mentioned I talked to Greg, who was the director of rooms at the time. He had a number of departments that reported up to him, but I started with him just to communicate some of the experiences that I've had, or some of the information, just like I've talked about today, that is out there, and how we can help not only change these people's lives, but it's a staffing solution. It's the right thing to do. It's not hard, and it'll change the world of these departments on a daily basis. So we started having those conversations, and then I started scheduling meetings with, support people from the community who could continue to enforce that story, and that turned into some education sessions from there. Sometimes managers or supervisors, they're just scared. They don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to react the wrong way. They don't know. They don't know what they don't know, so they're afraid. If something happens, how do I react? And that's where those really open conversations come into with job developers and coaches and families and teachers, and all of those groups of people need to be a part of this process. So that's how it's worked for us, and that's how, as I've started to talk more and more, that seems to be the key in other companies as well. Anyone else? Come on.
I probably don't even need a microphone. No, hi, I just want to tell everyone here, some of you in this room know this, but Project Search is coming to Oshkosh. Mercy Medical Center and Oshkosh Area School District have partnered, and I had the pleasure yesterday, the last 2 nights, staying at the Kalahari. Nate checked me in, and Ala gave me my wristband. So
excellent.
I can tell you that I kind of checked the culture at the Kalahari, and it was just so fantastic for me to see that in action, and we are very excited, not only for Oshkosh, but for the whole community to be embracing Project Search. So thank you for sharing this with everyone, and we will open our doors next year for anyone to come and see the great things that we're going to be doing with Mercy and our partners, so thank you.
Awesome, perfect.
Have you found that you've had to make any adjustments for pay or the benefit schedule for people with special needs, or is it the same across the board?
It's the same across the board. The only The only exception to that would be project search, and the definition of a project search internship is it's an unpaid internship because it's an education. So it's actually, in most cases, the last year of high school. But otherwise, they're paid, I hate to say that, everyone is paid exactly the same for the job that they do. No other thoughts, comments, questions?
On the average, when you look at the training time, was there a difference between the staff?
The difference would be, it's just a little bit different method. So the job developer, job coach is usually involved. And it isn't, sometimes in a large setting, the training happens more in a group setting. And this would be more one-on-one. But the actual time to pick up what they're being taught is not any, we haven't found it to be any different.
Hi, our organization does similar work about racial diversity in workplaces. I'm curious to understand how you prepared your staff for the cultural change that was coming. What kind of education you provide them so that they're prepared to embrace the cultural differences that having this more population brings.
Sure. Again, it was that same process. Some of our community partners helped us with that. But that was the easiest piece. I was prepared for it to be a little more difficult, and I was probably thinking with my heart more than anything, and worried about an individual with a disability being singled out, or what their disability is being talked about by others. And it was quite the opposite. That's what's amazing. And that, not just at the Kalahari, I've kind of found that throughout my career.
I just have a comment. I'm not an employer, but one of the slides I noticed the longevity of people with disabilities, staying on the job. And I think for all of you employers out here, to know that these are individuals that you're going to train, you're going to spend time training, maybe longer time, but then they're going to stick to it. And I think that's really important to know and to realize. And just having been a special educator, I know how these individuals, really want to learn these jobs and want to stick to them. And how could you ask for anything better? Especially in this world when you said, people are looking, you're crying for good workers. So I think this is something you really should buy into and get involved in. So,
a couple of weeks ago, when central Wisconsin got that intense snow all at once, there was actually 2 snow days in a row from school. And I've never ever seen Alla upset, except that he had to miss coming to the Kalahari for 2 days in a row. He was completely mortified, and he told me that should never happen again. I said, okay, I'll make some calls. I don't know if I can do that or not, but that's what rocked his world. Like, I want to be here all the time. I want to live here, is actually some of the quotes that he has. So he never really wants to leave, which is really cool.
You talked about transportation just a little bit at the beginning. Can you get into that a little bit more? How do you provide, or how is that provided?
Sure. So, for Project Search specifically, there's a few different elements that are going on. A couple of the interns have family-supported transportation. One of those families actually partners with DVR, so it's a DVR-approved driver. A couple of the students, it's school-supported. Actually, 3 of them are families, and 3 of them are school-supported. And there's another individual who's actually DVR was able to contract some. Actually, 2 other ones where DVR was able to contract the driving. So it really was a puzzle, and it was something where I had to actually kind of shake up the world a little bit and say, hey, who are we? You know, the first quotes that DVR came back to with what it was going to cost to provide the transportation, I just kind of laughed because I'm in the wrong business. But then, you know, when I started to ask some questions, like, how many quotes did you get and who are you working with, I found that there wasn't a large process in getting different quotes. So I had to kind of speak with a business mind and talk to them about, hey, let's get some different quotes, because what they were getting, they weren't going to be able to help support. It was just too expensive. So the process is there. As more and more project search sites get rolled out, a lot of these lessons are being learned, and so when the new sites start to roll out, hopefully all of the obstacles have been conquered and we can all partner together to solve those. Otherwise, some of the full-time associates, again, it's families. Some of them drive, and you know, some of them are long-term care supported. So it's a constant puzzle. Anyone else? I really appreciate you taking the time to hear about this. I really am thrilled to be asked by Lakeside to do this. I know that they can really be a strong partner to all of you in creating and providing some integrative employment, and I can't wait to hear the success stories. So thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Kathy Fredrickson. As Margaret pointed out earlier, Janice and I work with Lakeside on their marketing. For the second part of our presentation, we're going to have group discussions. But before we do that, let's thank Tracy again for an awesome presentation. Some of the statistics that she shared were amazing. The turnover rate, 8%. Versus 45% for other workers. More than 75% of people with diverse abilities report being underemployed or unemployed, and they'd rather be working more. What can we do about this?